Millionaire finds his former housekeeper dying in a landfill with a little boy. When the child says his name, a terrifying family secret explodes. The Texas sun beat down mercilessly over the outskirts of Houston that Tuesday morning, but the suffocating heat was nothing compared to the stench rising from the sprawling municipal landfill. Ethan Caldwell stood at the edge of it, dressed in a tailored Navy suit, reviewing blueprints for his most ambitious project yet, a luxury residential development that promised to transform the city's skyline. Investors were excited. The press was watching. It was supposed to be a triumphant week. Then a scream cut through the heavy air. A child's scream. "Mom, please don't die." Ethan turned sharply toward the sound. Just beyond a temporary chain link fence, a small boy no older than 5 was kneeling on a mound of torn trash bags and mud. His frail hands shook the limp body of a woman lying among the waste. Without thinking, Ethan dropped the blueprints, climbed the fence, and ruined his expensive suit in the filth below. Flies swarmed. The heat was brutal, but everything went silent the moment he saw her face. The woman was skeletal, her lips cracked from dehydration, her skin clinging to bone. Dirt and bruises covered her arms. Yet even in that condition, she was gripping the boy's hand with what little strength she had left. Ethan's heart slammed against his ribs. He knew her. It was Marisol Reyes, the quiet housekeeper who had worked in his family's mansion in River Oaks for over a decade. The same young woman his mother used to belittle in front of guests. The same employee who had disappeared 7 years earlier after allegedly stealing expensive heirloom jewelry. The boy looked up at Ethan with hollow, desperate eyes. "Please, sir," he begged. "Save my mom." Ethan checked her pulse. Faint. "Barely there, Marisol," he whispered. Her eyes fluttered open. She recognized him instantly and terror twisted her face. She tried to shield the child with her fragile body. "Don't tell her," she rasped. "Please, don't let her take him." Ethan frowned. "Take who?" The boy clung tighter to him. "My name is Daniel," he said softly. The world tilted. Daniel. That was his father's name. Ethan stared at the child's face, the shape of his eyes, the curve of his jaw. It was like looking at a photograph from his own childhood in that rotting landfill, surrounded by decay. Ethan realized he was staring at his half-brother. He shouted for his workers to call 911. He removed his suit jacket and wrapped it around Marisol. Within minutes, paramedics arrived, diagnosing severe malnutrition and dehydration. Ethan lifted Daniel into his SUV and followed the ambulance straight to the most exclusive private hospital in Houston. "Do whatever it takes," he ordered at the emergency desk. "Money is not an issue." He canceled meetings worth millions. Nothing mattered more than the truth. Hours later, Marisol lay stabilized in a private room, hooked to her fluids. Daniel sat beside her, holding her hand. When Ethan entered, fear filled her eyes again. "No one is taking your son," Ethan promised firmly. "I swear." After a long silence, years of forced secrecy finally poured out. Marisol revealed that Ethan's mother, Victoria Caldwell, a revered socialite and philanthropist, had threatened to kill her if she ever spoke about what happened. She had become pregnant, but the father wasn't some secret affair. It was Richard Caldwell, Ethan's late father, the respected oil magnate who had been celebrated as a pillar of integrity. Marisol's voice shook as she described being cornered in the mansion's library one night. It wasn't consensual, and it wasn't the only time. When Victoria discovered the pregnancy and Marisol refused to terminate it, the matriarch orchestrated a cruel plan. She planted jewelry in Marisol's room, accused her publicly of theft, had security escort her out without pay or identification, and threatened her life if she ever returned. Terrified of the Caldwell family's influence, Marisol vanished. She hid in the only place she believed Houston's elite would never look, the landfill. There, she built a makeshift shelter from plastic sheets and scrap wood. She collected recyclable materials, surviving off discarded food to protect her son. Ethan felt physically ill. For 38 years, he had idolized a monster, determined to act. Ethan moved Marisol and Daniel into a secure apartment with private security. He hired a top investigative firm and ordered a DNA test. The results confirmed it. Daniel was Richard Caldwell's son. But the rot ran deeper. The investigation uncovered records of hush payments, illegal clinic visits, and multiple women silenced. Over the years, bribed officers, fabricated police reports. The final blow came from Ethan's own sister, Olivia Caldwell. When she learned what he was uncovering, she broke down and confessed that she, too, had been abused by their father at 18. When she tried to speak out, Victoria had her involuntarily committed to a psychiatric facility for 3 months. Claiming she was unstable, all to protect the Caldwell name, Olivia agreed to stand beside Ethan and Marisol. The empire of lies was about to collapse. The reckoning came at the grand launch event for Ethan's luxury development, Crescent Heights Residences. Houston's elite gathered in gowns and tuxedos. Cameras flashed. Victoria arrived in diamonds and silk, smiling proudly from the front row. Ethan took the stage to applause. Tonight, he began, we talk about legacy. But before building the future, we must confront the past. The lights dimmed instead of architectural renderings. The giant screens displayed photographs of Marisol in the landfill, emaciated, barely alive, and Daniel crying beside her. Gasps rippled through the ballroom. Ethan exposed everything. The DNA results, the falsified theft accusation, the bribes, the threats. Victoria rose hysterically, shouting that it was slander. Then Olivia walked onto the stage. With trembling strength, she shared her story. Silence fell over the crowd. Finally, Marisol entered. She wore a simple blue dress, her head held high. No longer the broken woman from the landfill, but a survivor. We survived, she said steadily. And today, I am not afraid. Before Victoria could flee, federal agents entered with an arrest warrant. In front of Houston's most powerful figures, the untouchable Victoria Caldwell was handcuffed and led away. In the months that followed, the scandal shook the country. Victoria was convicted and sentenced to prison. Investigations into Richard's crimes reopened posthumously. Olivia founded a non-profit organization supporting survivors of abuse within powerful families. And on the very land where the landfill once stood, Ethan funded the construction of the Reyes Center for Women and Children, a shelter, legal aid hub, and vocational training institute named after Marisol. Years later, on a quiet Sunday afternoon in a Houston park, Marisol sat reading textbooks, finishing her degree in social work. Daniel, now healthy and laughing, chased a soccer ball across the grass. Ethan joined her with 2 ice creams. Was it worth it? He asked softly. Marisol looked at her son, then at the sky. I'm not the woman from the landfill anymore, she said with peaceful certainty. I'm a mother who fought and won. Yes, Ethan, it was worth every second. And in that golden sunset, they both knew truth had finally defeated power, and love had risen from the ashes of lies.